I would like to introduce myself, and then I would like to introduce that you can introduce yourself too. So, I'm Dagmar. I'm the Women's Ministry Director from the Inter-European Division. I have been in this responsibility for 9 months now. So now I give birth. Because 9 months pregnancy, no. But I am a midwife by profession. So I work also as a midwife. You know what is midwife? Hebamme? Sage-femme? And I like this workshop, Girls4Christ, because I think this is something very important what we need to have in our church. And also, so far it's mostly in the German-speaking countries, but I hope it will expand to the other countries as well. I would like to ask you to introduce yourself, where you come from, how do you know about, or have you heard about Girls4Christ, or what you know about, and yeah, how you are related to the youth group in your church, or what do you do in your church. Is it okay? But maybe we start first with a prayer. Dear Father in heaven, I want to thank you for this opportunity to spend time together reflecting on your word, on your call, on your mission, and that you will give us the wisdom that we can share what we received from you. And I ask for your special blessings now in this, during this time, that you will give us the Holy Spirit, that we can understand, and that we can find out what we can do for you. I ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Thank you. Okay, I thought we would, I would tell you a little bit with the presentation, what is Girls4Christ, why was it founded, when was it founded. Actually, when I prepared this presentation, I found out it's now 10 years old. So it's almost teenager. The project was founded in 2008 by Denise Hochstrasser. She was Women's Ministry Director until last year. I took over now, and she actually is the one who initiated it in the Inter-European Division. And from there, it expanded in the German-speaking countries. They took it up. There were some tries to introduce it also in Romania. There were sometimes a few projects, and Czechoslovakia. But I haven't heard from them if it's still done or not. But I can hear now when I talk with people, they are amazed that something like this exists, so I think we need to spread that more. It was actually created to have younger girls coming more to events, what is done in the women's ministry, but now it's also become an outreach program. So it's not only for our church, it should also be as considered as an outreach program. And I think this is something we always have to have in our minds, to get in contact with the other girls outside the church and make, like it was said this morning by Stefan, for the community. That's the final goal. I think it's very important that we have collaboration. So this program also is together with women's ministries and with the youth department. So if you ever want to start something, try to make collaboration with other departments where you can get, like you said, Christoph, you are trying to get this with the youth department and implement that in your country or in your area.
The project is running in Hungary, but only at the women's ministries department, but we want to work together.
Okay, good. I think it's very important, especially nowadays, that we have a mentoring relationship to our girls in the church, because it's something really, they are very vulnerable in that time, in that area, in that age, when we see what is the target group, the girls about the age of 12 to 18. So I think it's very important. It's a sensitive time, and I just recently read in my newspaper, the Zürcher Zeitung in Switzerland. I thought, wow, this just fits to that workshop, that until 12 years old, girls and boys are about the same with their self-esteem, with their opinion about themselves. But from the age of 12, the self-esteem, the self-worth of a girl declines, interestingly. There were studies done, they mentioned a study, and I didn't know that. I mean, I know the outcome from the girls, that they feel like, oh, I'm not pretty enough, I'm too fat, I'm too slim, there's a pimple and whatever. So they see all spots, the wrong spots, and feel everybody sees it like this. So the self-esteem, the self-worth declines in that time. And I think this is something what we have to to catch. They search for identity, and I think it's very important to have somebody to help them through puberty. And in this time also girls, they are looking for role models. So the purpose of Girls for Christ is developing a healthy self-esteem, so that they can work or be like they are. I think that's very important also to showing their value in God's eyes. I think we know that by mind, but maybe not by heart. And it's also important for them to get that in the church. We talked about this morning with Linda at the breakfast table, and she told me about a girl in her church. She comes, she's the only one there. She always has a sad expression. And this is the age where they often feel, what shall I do in church? What shall I don't know, I don't like it. But they have to come because the parents say or whatever. So I think if we as women, older ones, younger ones, make a difference, maybe let's go to that girl and say, hello, how was your week? And just start a small conversation or bring something, or maybe we see something, oh, you wear nice earrings, or you have a nice dress, or a nice whatever. That helps to start a conversation and gives her some kind of encouragement. Also strengthen their self-responsibility, what they also want to be among themselves. In that age, they want to talk about their favorite singer, about their latest music, whatever. I know, I have to say, maybe because of the men here, for boys actually it would be important too, to have sometimes time just for themselves, among themselves. But I am here as a woman, I can only talk for the girls, of course. But I would say for our church, that's something we have to consider too. It's for both boys and girls. Then it's also a promotion for church work. I mean, if they start in the church with these kind of projects, they might be more likely to come up front and maybe read a text, or even pray, or come up and stand and sing or play or whatever. I think it's also for us very egoistic, I think, I say it now, to start with our young ones so they also can stand in front of the church and do church work. Or also the caring attitude. If somebody cares for me, I can also care for others. And it's preparation for life. By the way, I have here if you want to add something, you can just give it so you can write your notes. Interestingly, in the Adventist church, mostly the founders were young. We remember our forefathers in the Adventist church, the pioneers, they were young. They were 17, like Ellen White, when she had her first vision, she was 17 years old. I mean, this is just the target group. Maybe she had problems with her self-esteem, we know that. So, I think it's also very important that we keep that in mind and that we listen to that. So, the concept is that you have, of course, in your church, some kind of meetings. You can do it in the church, or you can spread it and have it in your conference or in a smaller district, and have a day organized or a weekend. Invite different speakers who have interesting topics. And I think we can listen then to Olga and Raisa. They are very practical, what they have done so far or what they do. And also ask for the needs and the wants of the girls. Because you can make the best program. If you don't reach them where they are, then you miss out on something. But if you include them and say, hey, what shall we do? Do you want to have some kind of beauty day or cooking event or some creative lettering, Bible lettering, or any kind of creative things? Then I think that's just an example. You can have more. What is also interesting is reaching out to other cultures. I mean, we are living in Europe. We have a lot of migrants coming from different countries. And what is also interesting is, like, we have a lot of Muslim fathers wouldn't allow Muslim girls to go to maybe to youth groups where both sexes. So this is also some kind of opportunity to reach Muslim girls. I remember we have one church in Switzerland, in Rheinach. They had a lot of refugees coming in that area, and there were girls from Afghanistan. And they came to these meetings, to these Girls for Christ. And so now they come to the church. I mean, it started very not religious, but the parents let these girls go because they knew they were only girls, and they were good issues they were talking about. So these girls are even coming to church now. And this is, I think, also something where we can help and can reach other religions. Also, what is not bad is having a multicultural day. So often we have from different cultures girls, so we can make a day where they can share their experiences or their culture through cooking, through dress, whatever. And this is something I remember. I have a godchild, Patenkind, and she had one time, she was so into Indian dresses, cooking, whatever. And so I spent a day with her. We did Indian Day. I mean, it was just one day, but she liked it. She dressed in Indian clothes, I dressed in Indian. We cooked some Indian food. We watched a Bollywood movie. And she never forgets that. She's now 22, and she says, oh yeah, this time. Mm-hmm. And I think this is something what we can distribute and do this with our girls. There are some topics, but I think this is something also what Raisa and Olga can tell you. Topics I just listed, but you can expand that list. What is important, what they want to talk about. Me as a midwife, I'm very much concerned about sexuality, what they experience in that age. I mean, I know there are other countries, like in England, there are a lot of teenage pregnancies. In Switzerland, where I live, there are not so many teenage pregnancies. But also to talk about these topics. Also about the other sex, of course. How to date, how to have relationship, friendship. All this, I think this is so important. I don't know, when you were in that age, whom did you talk to about these topics? Friends. Yeah. School. Mostly it's not that you go to your mom or to your dad. with this topic. Maybe you have a friend in church who is a bit older and you might have the trust in this person and you think, okay, I can talk with that person about. But mostly, and it's friends. And that's, I think, why it's also important that we as the church have this openness to talk with the girls about that. I remember, and this makes me often sad, we had one church member. She was a bit older, she was in her 20s. I haven't seen her for a long time, and I was invited to her mother's birthday. And there I saw her again, and she was having a baby in her arm. I said, oh, congratulations, I didn't know you have a baby, and so on. Then I thought, well, everything is well. And then she kind of said, yeah, I didn't want to let the church know because I'm not married and I have no connection with this boyfriend anymore, and so on. And then I felt so sad because I thought, this is what we should be here for as a church. And not, she felt like she didn't come, and she was kind of abstaining from church because she felt the shame. And I think we are a church, we shouldn't, we are all sinners. We sometimes give maybe the impressions, oh yeah, we are right, and you have to behave like this and like that. But what do you do when you have a teenager who might be pregnant in your church? What do you do with this girl? I don't proclaim for pregnancy in teenager age, of course not. But what happens? Are we then are we Christian-like relating to these girls? This is also something what I think we have to talk about. You see, Nature Beauty, often they have these kind of workshops where they prepare with masks so they have nice skin afterwards, or exchange the newest facial cream where the pimples might flourish or disappear. So I think this makes fun for them. What's also interesting, modern media. We recently had a Girls4Christ workshop in Switzerland, and there we had a guest who we had invited for talking about modern media. Because this is also something. The mobile is everywhere, the chats going on all the time. What I think, we have to use that too. Of course, we ask for a moderate use of the modern devices, but also we can use that for the better. So, like Instagram, I know Olga and Raisa, they have promoted it in the Mittelrhein Division conference. Then the girls, they have their WhatsApp chats, and it's also good to be connected with them and reach them on their level. There can be more. I just had these two. Here you see the creativity, what is being done in some areas, creative, coloring, sewing, crafting, all this, you name it. Then also at youth meetings, there are these booths like we do here. Of course, this is now mostly German because it's more in the German-speaking countries. As I know, I didn't know that in Hungary you have that too. I'm glad to hear. To be presented, and it's always interesting. I think, okay, in the German-speaking countries it's known, but when I'm here in the booth, I hear, oh, I haven't heard about this, or so that means for me it has to be proclaimed even more. So it's very good to be present. For me, the conclusion is that's why you are here. I think it's very important that you get informed and that you also start with a group or only with a few. Don't think, oh, one or two is not enough. Just take these two and make something, like I did with my godchild. We did spend one day, or if you don't have time, you say, okay, we do half a day, and have a topic, and then this is something you can relate to, and she can relate to. And I think it's also a win-to-win situation for you, for yourself, for the church, and for that girl, or these girls. And when we win these girls, it's not only one for this earthly life, but also for the eternity. I think this is very important, that we glorify God with it and also encourage each other. And also help them, seeing them how they are and how God sees them. I would like to ask a few questions, or that Olga, or do you have questions right now, so far? Hi.
He's Mark.
Okay. Hi, Mark. The boy in your house. Because I would like to ask Olga and Raisa, who are very active in that project, so they could present a little bit how they do it, how they organize it, and I think this is something you would like to know, the practical things. Maybe just to know a little bit, why do you, the reasons, why do you offer Girls for Christ in your church, or you are now also on the conference level? Mm-hmm.
Since 1 year.
For 1 year now, okay.
The first reason for us, we have daughters in this age. Yeah, I have 2 daughters, Raisa has 1 daughter in this age. They are, our daughters are 15 and my little daughter is 12. And so I see that in our church there is no possibility where they can take something creative or something only for girls. Yeah? But in this age it's very important that they have, because it's not important what mom says, it's not important what dad says, and church not important, and what God says is not important too. But what my friend says, this is important. And so I want to make something that our girls have friends in the church. And in our church it's good because we have many children, we have 40 children in our church, but there are many churches where only 1 or 2 or 3 children, and not even only 1 girl, or 1 girl in the age of 15 and the other in the age of 2. And so there isn't. And so we think about it, what we can do. And 3 years ago we were on a weekend, Girls for Christ weekend, and there we met with this topic first time. And we think, okay, this is a good idea, because we have something for only girls where they can teach free, to talk free about what they think, about what is in them. And so we started in our church. We started with only 12 girls.
Mm-hmm.
We started, yeah. Our first day, we make a Girls for Christ day, and we started with only 12 girls. Only.
Yeah, I think, I don't know.
Our church
For you it's now big, but if you say, oh, we have only 2 girls or 3, don't despair. I think it's really...
You're talking about your local church, isn't it?
Yes. First time we started our local churches, but we have we used our Instagram account and we used WhatsApp, and so we used our friends. Die auch Kinder haben in dem Alter.
The ones who also have kids.
Yes, our friends, and so we contact them, and some girls are from 60 kilometers, and the parents drive them to us. Yeah. And this was amazing. We were excited because we started with 12, and the girls were so excited about this, what we do. And the second time we organized a Girls for Christ Day, we were 21.
Okay, so they spread the...
Yes, and they all bring her friends, and it was amazing.
Good.
Und die Hälfte war nicht aus der Gemeinde.
Yeah.
Also
I
es
just
ist
was
Mission.
going
Es ist
to
für mich
on.
eher Mission.
Yeah. So half of it wasn't from the church, and I think this is when the kids are happy, they will also
Yeah.
say to their friends outside the church, and this is also something to reach the others. Yeah.
Which day do you choose? We make some.
Sunday with a breakfast. Um 10.
We start at 10 with a
Genau,
big
über den
breakfast.
Tagsüber.
Yes.
Wir können kurz den Ablauf erzählen, wie
Ja.
wir es machen.
So we started with a big breakfast, and then we have worship, we sing, and we have a little Bible study, and we have every time we have a topic that is not only for beauty or something creative, but also something for Bible study. And there are different speakers we had. She had pictures.
Das ist jetzt zum Beispiel unser zweiter Start mit den 21 Mädels,
Yeah.
This was with the 21 girls.
wo sie Bibeltexte gestaltet haben.
They created Bible texts.
Wir haben denen auf DIN A3-Papier nur Bibeltext vorgegeben, also einen Bibeltext.
They introduced just the Bible text.
Und die haben dann kreativ selber gestaltet, was sie haben möchten.
And
Jeder
they
nach seinen
created-
Ideen.
Created the
Sie hat jetzt Psalm 23 passend, ja, mein guter Hirte mit dem
Yes.
Stab und frisches
Psalm
Wasser.
23 with the shepherd and the lamb, and then
Das
fresh
hat jetzt-
water. This girl created that.
Genau. Und hier sieht man nochmal, wie die ihre Bilder praktisch in der Hand halten dann.
And there on that photo you see
Das, was
the
sie kreiert
what
haben.
they created.
Dann haben sie diese T-Shirts geschenkt bekommen.
They were presented with T-shirts.
Or sometimes last time we watched a movie. We watched the movie War Room. You know? War Room?
Very good film.
Yeah.
Very good.
And the girls were as fun as
They were excited watching a movie. This is also or having a movie night or a pajama party. I mean, this is in that age what they love, you know,
Mit Popcorn.
with popcorn. Yeah. If you have most churches they have a beamer. You could
Beamer.
spend, ask to have a movie night there, spend it from Sabbath to Sunday, and then
In the church.
Yeah, in the church. Why not? I mean, we show so much. We can also afford to give that for the girls or for the youth anyway. But also when they want to have a love movie or anything like, and also the chance to talk with them about it, about that film, about the movie.
Also meistens Thema.
Yeah.
Dann haben wir Workshops.
Mostly a topic and then workshops.
Ja. Und anschließend haben wir mit spätem Mittagessen abgeschlossen.
And
So
they-
um 3.
Close mostly with a late lunch.
But we are not two people. We are if we had so big program, so we are. The first time we was only two.
In a team.
In a
Mhm.
team. But
Yeah.
It was very hard for us.
Mhm.
And the second time we were suing and we did,
Mhm.
and we were
Dann schön.
yeah, in
Okay.
a team because
Yeah.
it's impossible to do it.
Oder sowas.
Yeah, yeah.
Also
So,
schon ausgesucht.
So here
Sowas.
they did some aprons or created. I think this is something really important that you have a team. There you at least two. Depends a bit of the size of the girls. I mean, how many girls you have, but to be a team and have that team support. You were wanted to ask something?
Yeah, how do you finance it?
The finances, yeah.
Kann man Deutsch sagen?
Ja, naja, er versteht kein Deutsch. Aber wir können schnell übersetzen, das ist ja kein Problem.
Was ist das?
Wie ihr das finanziert.
The finance. So
Ja, wer bezahlt das, ja?
I would say, I know it's always the finances is a bit of, but I think each church has finances for the youth group. Talk to your youth leader. Or some churches have also women's ministry. Ask them, and also involve them. Like when you do, for example, preparing the breakfast, ask some of these old ladies. Because this is intergenerational. Or old men. Okay, sometimes one has to be careful, okay. With the old men. No, I mean, ask some, I say, or would you please make a cake? We have that meeting would you mind having baking a cake, or preparing lunch, or preparing breakfast? Involve them. Because then it's something all of them are beteiligt, involved.
War es so, dass das allererste Mal wir selber finanziert haben?
The first time they financed it themselves. And I think this is something, a woman's problem again. We always think, okay, we can do that.
Und dann haben wir in unserer Gemeinde das Projekt überhaupt vorgestellt.
Okay.
Weil mit Girls4Christ konnte unsere Gemeinde überhaupt nichts anfangen. Die wussten nicht, was es ist, mit was backe ich das, mit was esse ich das. Und deswegen haben wir Fotos gemacht von dem ersten Treffen und alle statt Missionsbericht erstmal Girls4Christ präsentiert. So hat die Gemeinde überhaupt erfahren, was wir machen, dass wir das mit Liebe machen, dass wir das für die Mädels machen, dass da ein Missionsprojekt dahinter steckt.
So she's telling that when the church had no idea what it means, so they, instead of a mission spotlight, they made the mission spotlight in their church and told them what they are doing, what is done by a Girls4Christ event, and then you ask for the finances.
Und dann haben wir Unterstützung aus der Gemeinde bekommen.
And then they
auch
supported it,
financial
and also with the persons.
Geholfen haben.
And I think this is really, it's a good idea to present it not only in a church board meeting, but the whole church, because then they will support you. Because I think most of them are happy if you do something for the girls. Yeah, Christoph?
Probably you have the same problem somewhere in Hungary. It is a problem because we have a lot of little churches and with few young people, 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
and our work plan is to come together, 3, 4 churches, and work together for your 2, 3 young people, and you gather 15.
Yes.
15 young people, and work together, more churches, why not?
Yes.
And,
In the district
yes.
or even conference.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah,
Or
it's
even
also connecting.
Geographically,
You're right.
What is near.
Yes.
One
Yes. And then you can ask 3 churches to support,
Yes.
and then you have more.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yes, it's true.
How often will you do that? In which terms?
1 time in 3 months, because it's viel for
It's a lot to do and to prepare.
Soll ich das kurz?
Once in a quarter.
Once in a quarter, yeah. But I think that doesn't mean that you still can, talk in the church with these girls. I think this is something also what we often neglect in the church. You meet with your friend and all the ones, but then the girls stand just beside. So that each Sabbath, actually, we should talk to them and say, hey, how was your day? Or can I pray for you for some problems you have? We don't have to say always problems, but it can be also something have you experienced something nice? Have you had any kind of nice happening in your school life or in your life? Or do you have a cat? Do you have a dog? I know one in our church, she wants to have a dog. The mother said, okay, we borrow from a church member a dog for a weekend so you can see how it is. I mean, so this other church member helps that girl having a dog for a weekend to see. I mean, this will also be something remembered in her mind. Oh yeah, we had this from that lady or from this family. I think it's being noticed. And there we all can make a difference. And I mean, it's not only for the girls, it's also for the boys, it's for everybody in the church. We want to be noticed and not only come and go.
Es ist wichtig, wenn man solche Projekte startet, dass man auch an den Sabbaten, wenn nichts läuft, einen Blick für die Mädels hat.
Yeah.
Also ich achte immer darauf, dass wenn ich in den Gottesdienst komme, dass ich die Mädels, die immer zu Girls4Christ kommen, dass ich die unbedingt begrüße. Dass ich einfach da bin und sage, hey, schön, dass ihr da seid.
Das ist dann wichtig.
It's also, she says, that it's important also on the Sabbaths when there's no Girls4Christ, still go and talk to these kids. Or also what is also been done, that when there's a special day like Mother's Day, that you also, some churches I know they give a rose or some kind of flower, that you also give that to the girls. or
Wenn es nur Schokolade ist.
or just a little chocolate, or you see we have some giveaways. Okay, they are in German now, these bracelets, but here it says you are loved by God. So they wear that everywhere, all these, and then some of them are collectors, or the boys are making slingshots. So have this, you can have some at our desk, or pens about the material. Yeah, maybe you want to finish first with what is done on a day or a weekend, sorry, when we can get to the material.
Also was wir schon gemacht haben, wie du schon erwähnt hast, so Masken, Reinigungsmasken. Da hat dann jeder eine Schüssel bekommen, wo die dann ihr Gesicht wieder ausgewaschen. 3 verschiedene. Erst Reinigung, dann Pflege und dann 3 verschiedene Masken haben wir gemacht.
So
aus Naturprodukten.
To show them how to treat their beauty. From natural products they did.
Das ist hier Frühstück und Andacht.
That's about breakfast and worship, devotion.
Gesundes Frühstück.
A healthy breakfast. This is also very important to show them about health. Healthy food. They always get it maybe from there. You shouldn't eat that. But what should you eat then? To prepare something healthy, what they might like also. Or they help preparing then.
Wir haben Notizbücher zum Beispiel selber kreiert und verziert, genauso wie Bibeln genommen.
We created notes. Notebooks or Bibles, so they could personalize their Bible.
Gestaltet.
Creative.
Das haben die Mädels selber gemacht, ne?
They did it. You have somewhere. You have that.
Ich habe hier ein paar. Ich habe glaube ich mehr eins.
Like here. Or on our boot is also the Bibles.
Also da. Freundschaftsbändchen. Ja.
So
Selber.
friendship bracelets.
Freundschaftsbändchen, und haben sie alle in die Hand, die Bändchen, und die angezogen, die waren richtig stolz drauf.
They were proud of having these bracelets. They belong together. Friendship is something very important at that time.
Und ich habe hier, die kennst du auch, Larissa.
Ah ja, Larissa. Yeah.
Sie hat für uns auch Sachen vorbereitet, was Style.
They have a lady in the church who is doing style, color and style, what to wear, what fits.
Also
Stylist, yeah.
Auch was Stylist aus, was Haare betrifft,
What the hair and so on.
Optimale Punkte, zum Beispiel Rocklänge. Ja? Also
About
nicht so
the size.
anziehen, sondern optimale Punkte. Und sie erklärt das auch professionell.
She explained it very
Wie es
professional.
dann ankommt, dass man natürlicher Typ bleibt, dass man sich nicht, die Mädels versuchen aus und schminken sich wie die Papageien.
And try to tell them how to put on makeup and not too much like a
Sie erklärt,
parrot.
Weniger ist mehr, dass du dieses
Less
Natürliche
is more.
hast. Also solche Sachen hat sie. Ich habe mich da gewundert, Larissa hat sie gefragt, habt ihr schon jemals drüber nachgedacht oder sich die Haare gefärbt? Mit 12.
She said to the girls, did you ever think about dyeing your hair?
Alle haben schon mal, die Hälfte hat gefärbt.
Half of the girls who were 12 years old had already done some dyeing.
Also, es sind Themen, die sie interessieren.
These are topics which are very much
Wenn wir
interested
sie
in.
als Gemeinde nicht so richtig rüberbringen, dann suchen sie sich woanders hin.
And if we don't
Tipps
help
und
them,
die Styling ganz woanders. Ja.
so they look for different areas where to find it, and that might not be the best. I know, just a thing, there might be, these are topics sometimes in the church, there might be some, I'm careful now, but I hope you understand me right. There might be some conservative ladies or men who say, oh, what? You teach them how to dress, or you teach them how to put up makeup. But I think this is something different. If you look like a parrot, or if you look natural. And if you take them in that age and take that serious, their wishes, I think then you have more one than when you just, destroy and say, oh no, we don't talk about that. You know what I mean? We have still this, I have to be careful, we are recorded. What I say.
Die Infos holen Sie sich ja sowieso.
Ja.
Und
Yeah.
dann holen sie es sich aus dem Internet und dann sehen sie wirklich aus wie
Yes.
Frauen,
They look for it
Baby's Beauty.
everywhere. Yeah.
Baby's Beautiful hat so lauter
Yes.
so Sachen. Ja.
Yes.
Und das will ich euch ans Herz legen. Es kam
There's something
super
very
toll an.
I would like to share with you.
Wir haben Gebetswoche gehabt. Und
We had prayer
anschließend-
meeting.
Anschließend haben wir mit denen praktisch Bibeltexte, ihre Lieblingsbibeltexte dürfen die kreativ gestalten. Es gibt Vorlagen.
And there we had, they could their favorite
Wie man das
Bible
verschieden
text,
macht,
they could
ja? Also, da hat jeder so
create themselves.
seine Fantasie ausspielen können. Ob so oder mit Blätterchen, mit Blümchen.
How
wie
to
sie
create, how to
gestaltet sind.
style that.
Oder quadratisch.
And they had this
Mit
book.
Schatten, groß, klein oder auch rund. Ja, also es gibt ganz tolle Sachen. Die saßen dran, wirklich erfahrungsmäßig, die saßen
They were
2
sitting
Stunden
about
am
2
gleichen Tag.
hours
Die wollten
without
gar nicht
interruption. They didn't
Wir
want to
wollten
go.
schon Schluss machen, haben gesagt, hopp, wir machen nächstes Mal weiter. Noch ein bisschen, noch ein bisschen.
No, let's start. We don't want to go. Let's continue. So they were really eager to.
Also es kam super
have
an.
that.
Ja, es interessiert die Mädels, die machen das gerne.
Interesting.
Alles, all creative things are great for girls. All creative.
Apropos, unsere Männer möchten
Our
jetzt
men, our
auch Boys
husbands,
for Jesus also starten.
they want to start Boys for Christ, for
Und
Jesus.
die haben
Yeah.
überlegt,
And they thought about
vielleicht einmal im Monat
Maybe
die
once
Jungs
a month
in die Sauna mitnehmen, so richtig
to
Männersauna.
take the boys to the sauna
So dass man für Jungs was macht, was denn Spaß macht. Ja?
to do something
Es
for
kann
the
auch
boys.
sein, dass es Sport ist, ja, was
Or
weiß ich, so
sporty.
richtig Training oder Rundenlaufen, Fußball,
Baggerfahren.
etwas
Football.
Baggerfahren bei die
To
Idee.
drive a
Mein Mann hat
bugger.
Baufirma.
Wasn't it bugger? No,
Ba-
no. No. You know, at the what is
Baustellen, auf den Baustellen.
it? On the working grounds.
Ja, so
These
diese
big
Schipper.
machines, like tractors. Some,
Ja.
yeah.
So.
Something
Und
like this.
mein Mann hat eine Firma
Her husband has a firm,
und der hat so Bagger.
and he has these tractors and these
Wollten mit den Jungs
machines,
probieren, wie das
so
hinkriegen,
they
den
can
Bagger
do how
hochziehen,
to lift
ausmachen.
that.
Etwas
shovel
machen, was
and
den
so
Jungs
on.
Spaß macht und wo sie auch eigentlich dieselben Punkte auch kennenlernen. Auch wirklich wie unter Jungs Sexualität kennenlernen.
Also
Wo sie
among
unter
the
Jungs-
boys
unter
to get
Jungs,
to know
jungspezifische
sexuality, all these
Sachen
boys
machen.
specific topics.
ja, wo die dann wirklich auch in ihre Sachen wachsen, wo sie selbstsicher
they can-
werden als Persönlichkeit
Yes.
und auch die Beziehung zu Gott und zu den Freunden besser darstellen.
Also to
aufbauen.
find the self-esteem for themselves, also with the man, and also to have a good relationship to
Und
God.
ich finde es schade, dass Männer so passiv sind.
I'm so sorry that the men are so passive.
Frauen, die sind aktiv, die sagen, oh, Girls4Christ, wow, super. mach
Women
ich,
are
ja,
more
ich
active
stell
in
mich
that
an,
way.
ich mach's. Und bei Männern,
The men
Oh,
are.
also deswegen finde ich super, dass hier ein Mann ist.
She's happy that you are here as a man.
Ja,
Aber gestern wurde ich gefragt, warum gibt es das nicht auch für Jungs?
Yeah. Yesterday I was asked by somebody, why doesn't it exist for men, for boys? I think this is, I just can really emphasize it. Talk it to your,
The problem today is a lack of good models
Yes.
for young boys.
that's true,
It's a problem.
yes. And also the role model, what we have in the Bible, of men, of women. I mean, we talk all the time about men and women, about women in the church or not in the church, as pastor, whatever. But do we have a good role model, what we pass on to our kids? And like also was said this morning in worship by Jonathan, we are all equal. What do we, I mean, our impressions, our knowledge is shaped by the culture we grew up. And what do we give to our kids? I mean, what do we pass on? And I think this is so important that we know for ourselves and give it and pass it away on. Yeah.
It's important to give them this message that Adventism is relevant, and even today for us
Yes.
to see good models,
Yes. Yeah.
girls and boys
Yes.
also.
I think we all agree that it's important for both, for boys and for girls. Yes, Raisa?
Also wir machen mit Ola nicht nur Girls for Christ, wir machen auch Teenagerarbeit.
So they both also do
Deswegen
teenager
machen wir nur einmal im
work.
Quartal Girls for Christ, aber wir machen noch Minimum einmal im Quartal auch Teenie-Treff.
Okay, they have once in 3 months only for you girls, and then they have once in 3 months teenager, all both sexes. Yeah.
Wo wir dann auch auf sie eher zugehen. Themen sind angeschnitten auf das Alter.
And the topics are for both, for the teenager also.
Das ist
but
dann
for
nur ein
both sides.
Nachmittag, was wir machen.
That's only one afternoon.
Aber Essen muss dabei sein.
But it's always important that there is food.
Die freuen sich immer auf Essen. Essen ist ein Fest, das muss sein. Das
Food
ist
has to be.
yeah. Auch wenn es nur Pizza ist, aber es muss was zu essen geben.
Just for you, when you think, oh, how should we start? What should we do? What kind of topics? There is a workbook and a study guide. This is in English, but for the German speaking, it's just released in German. So there are some topics what you can do. You have a leader's guide and a student workbook. You can download this. I have that sample. There it's introduction, make like a topic what I see now, making good decisions. I mean, these kids are in an age you have to choose what you want. If you want to, what do you want to study? What kind of profession you want? I mean, how do I know what kind of decisions I want to make? I mean, that helps. And sometimes there might be kids, maybe only one parent is in the church or whatever. So I think it's really important to give them some help. So, and also there says about activities, what you can do with them and so on. So this is something in English, you can download this. It in the back there is the address. So if you want to have a look.
We have it in Hungary.
You have it. Okay. So in German you got it here. Then what I was wondering, what I wanted to ask you, what kind of feedback do you get from the girls when you do this work?
Also die Mädels sind begeistert. Die sind begeistert,
They're excited.
die sehen uns am Samstag und fragen, wann gibt es wieder Girls for Christ? Wir wollen wieder hin.
When they see us on Sabbath, they ask, when is the next meeting? So we want to come again. So that means they are really, they like
Nicht
it.
nur aus unserer Gemeinde, sondern im WhatsApp-Status. Ich stelle immer rechtzeitig Einladungen rein. Die gucken in der Umgebung von 100 Kilometern, die gucken, wenn irgendwie was ist.
So she produces on WhatsApp in the status. When is the next event? And around about 100 kilometers, they all see. They have a WhatsApp group.
Gucken und
They
sind bereit,
see,
die Kinder herzubringen. Hauptsache, es
and the
wird was
parents
gemacht.
look and see. They will even take the kids there where
Bei
it
denen in
is.
Gemeinden zum Beispiel nur ein Mädel ist oder nur zwei. Ja.
So, like you said, that they can join together 2 different or 3 or
Die
whatever
bringen sie her.
churches, and the
Die bringen
parents
sie her.
they even bring them to that part.
One girl I know, she talked to her mom, you have to help them. It's one time in 3 months, it's not good. You have to help them, that it is every month.
Okay. How many? Well, you said before half of it is not Adventist. Is that right? So they bring their friends from the school or from the where they live or so. Okay. So I think this is also really. I mean, where can we get so many kids? So try to make it also as a mission project, but don't say it right away.
That's a project, not say it.
Yes.
This is the reason for this are the topics.
The topic.
Because so you can say to your friend, hey, there will be someone who can talk to us how what to
Where?
what to wear or how to make our hair and so. Oh, it's interesting. Yes, in this age it's very interesting. And so we have one girl. They bring three friends. Yeah, 3 friends from her class.
Yeah.
From her school.
And when they realize there's a worship, they don't mind.
No.
Yeah. And I think it's good that you have a certain way of, like you said, you have something to eat, then you have a devotion, and then you have the workshops. So it's something regular. Yeah.
We play games also.
And you play games.
Yeah.
We started to something similar, not for boys or for girls. For,
Yeah.
In one of our cities where we have two churches, there are some young people that have some problem with the church, and we rented a place outside the churches, and we started a project that once a month is an occasion for them that starts with lunch at 12:30. After lunch there is a spiritual message, we talk together, and after that games and anything else. They told me, we started in January, this Sabbath will be the second occasion, let's see. The first occasion they told me that there will be not more than 20 young people. There were 35 young people. Half of them I never know them. Even if
You have never met them.
Never met them. Let's see. Now in this Sabbath will
Yeah.
be the second occasion. It was
Okay.
very good experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Super.
That's good. And I think, we, especially here in Europe, people from outside, they don't come to this evangelistic campaign. We need to start with friendship, making disciples on a friendship base first. It doesn't mean that we have to skip our beliefs. No, not at all. But we have to implement them, or that we learn how to talk with non-Christians also, and bring down the message to a level where everybody can understand it. I mean, it starts, our kids, the girls or the boys, when they ask, how do you have a relationship with Jesus, with somebody you don't see? How can I explain that? And encourage them, trying to find out what is for them important, or pray with them. And I think it's so important to make friends also in the church, with the youth, with the it's not only for the youth, but mostly in this way now, of course. But if we care for each other, and also that mentoring, I care for you. If I don't see you next Sabbath, okay, some they feel like I'm controlling when I call, or when I send you a WhatsApp and say, why didn't you come? Maybe I can, if it depends also how I do it. If I say, oh, I have missed you, can I do something for you? Do you feel sick or whatever? Then it's a caring attitude instead of controlling. And I think this is what we have to learn, or what we have to rediscover or emphasize more than all the other things. Do you know what I mean? Do you receive feedback from the parents?
Parents ask, can we give you some money for the next time?
Okay.
Because they are very thankful that we do this.
Yes. Yeah. And I think this is something, so both of yours children are there also. Do they mind because the mothers are now doing it, or are they feeling, because sometimes it's like, oh, my mom does something like this, I don't feel so. Or
they feel like boss because we are leading this, and they are our children, so they are bosses. But I every time say, no, you have to serve. We serve, and you have to serve too.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit difficult. I think it would be easier if there were not other children, but we have nobody else who did this work.
yeah. And that's why I think it's also good when we have somebody in church who is willing to do it, that we should support this. Like I said, ask for another lady in the church who can help you or also encourage them. I think this mentoring principle is very important. When we look in the Bible, I mean, there are stories about young women, about little girls. I mean, if I think of that little girl, the servant girl who worked in that house of Naaman, I mean, she must have been raised by a very faithful Jewish family. Otherwise, how could she be such a testimony to that heathen master? So I think this is important that we prepare them. Or there is Miriam, Moses' sister. I mean, she has also had a strong character. She was shaped by her family. Or the mentoring, what I really like is the story of Mary, Jesus' mother, and Elizabeth. I mean, Elizabeth was old. She was pregnant, Mary was pregnant. She was just the opposite of age. But Mary went to Elizabeth and she was mentored, I would say. She asked for help. Look, this happened to me, and the other one could share with her. So I think that's important. If you have somebody in church, try to encourage them also. Go talk with the kids. And for some, it doesn't mean, if that's a 50-year-old lady and she talks with the 15 ones, she might say the same like the mother says, but from this old lady, it sounds more interesting than when the mother says it. And I think that's something what we have to, also for ourselves, that we are responsible for the girls, for the youth in our church. And if we try to make friends with them, that we can, get their interest. And this is, like we said before, caring for each other. Yeah,
Wenn ich so auf dem Weg noch etwas mitgeben darf.
When I can
ich habe
share
vor einiger
something.
Zeit diesen Vers, und der steht mir immer noch im Kopf da. Also es ist für mich ein Vorbild sehr.
I read
Und
one
zwar
of the texts in the Bible.
Stand da drin, die Kinder machen nicht das, was wir ihnen sagen, sondern das, was wir tun.
The children, is it a Bible?
Nein.
No.
Nein,
Some
das ist
quote
einfach.
I heard, the children don't do what we say, but they do
Das, was
what they
wir tun.
see, what we do.
Deswegen habe ich für mich damals genommen, wir müssen was machen.
We need to do
Und wenn wir
something.
was machen, sehen es die Kinder und lernen nur so.
Yeah.
Also durch
When we
das
do
Praktische.
something, the practical, they can see it. We are the role models for them.
Genau, deswegen machen wir
Ja.
auch Pfadfinder. Ja? Alle 2 Wochen treffen wir uns mit den Pfadfindern. Dann noch Girls4Christ, einmal im Viertel.
So we have
Plus
Pathfinders, Girls for
Teenies.
Christ,
Und wir
Teenies.
machen noch einmal mehr Kinderbibelwoche.
And once a year they do children Bible school.
Woche, ja.
So
genau.
it seems like we have here
Und deswegen sage ich,
a
Alter, man muss schon früh anfangen. Ja? Kindersabbatschule
start early.
und Kinderbibelwoche ist etwas, was auch ganz toll ist. Durch Kinderbibelwoche sind zum Beispiel bei uns der Dennis gekommen, der jetzt auch regelmäßig in die Gemeinde kommt.
Through Children Bible School also
Genau.
there came
Seine Mutter
somebody
kommt jetzt in die Gemeinde seit 2
boy
Jahren regelmäßig.
who comes regularly to church and his mom also.
Und wir haben festgestellt, bis dahin Pfadfinder gut ist und dann ist ein Loch.
Until they are with the
Zwischen 12,
Pathfinders, and
ja,
then is
oder so,
a gap
und bis zur
between
Jugend.
12
Ein
and the
Loch.
youth. So there is a gap, and if we miss out on
Und
that,
mit Girls4Christ versuchen wir die Lücke zu füllen bzw. sie aufzufangen, sodass sie dann irgendwann mal in die Jugend starten und aktiv in der Jugend sind.
yeah, with Girls4Christ we try to bridge that gap. So
For girls.
for the girls,
For
yeah,
girls.
and for the boys it would
For
be.
boys, is Pathfinder interesting in 13 and 14 too.
Yeah.
But for girls, not.
For girls not, yeah. And this is what it's good to, if you can bridge that gap so that they come to the youth group then afterwards and stay. So
That is a general problem. I think some churches think that, let's say, girls 12, 13 years, they are children also. No, they are not children.
No.
We must help
yeah,
them to
Yeah.
reach the youth.
yeah,
Uh,
that's true. And if you have in the church also, you know, sometimes you have medical, like nurses or midwives or medical people, and for them, then it's also sometimes good if you have them involved, like for the girls especially. I think there are programs how to look at your body, how do you deal with your menstruation cycle? All these, the pains, whatever, what each one has. And I mean, where do you talk about this? Only with your friends, outside maybe, but then you have that also inside. Or what does it mean? Then you can also address all these hot issues about pregnancy, also abortion, Verhütung, preconception, all these, and you have them here, and you can give that a biblical value. And I think this is important. Yeah. Time is almost up. Yes, the material. That's what we have here. There's the German. You can see some. We can sell them.
Also,
You can these ones.
Das eine ist das Arbeitsheft und das andere Anleitung, also für die,
Ja.
wo es nochmal für den Leiter einfacher ist, wo er dann zusammenstellt. Ich habe es mir durchgeguckt, die sind richtig gut.
They are really good. The German ones are here. Then English one you can download and print it. And material there you saw in our booth. You can have some more like this. Oh, I just included all this. What is it for? And then mostly you do it on your own, I guess, like creativity things. But finding something like, or have a Bible or some kind of a devotional book. There's also in the youth department, they have some devotional books, what you can read with, you know it maybe. Andachtsbücher. Not so many, okay.
Die Bibel kommt bei den Mädels super an.
This Bible also
Die Bibel
comes, okay. There's
das
a lot of interest.
Bilder drin von Frauen, ja, wo auch noch hinten dran ist so immer die Beschreibung, was ich von der Frau lernen kann, was wirklich auch super schön auch ankommt. Wir haben bei einem Jugendsabbat, wo wir einen Stand hatten, haben wir eine Verlosung gemacht und da war die Bibel der Hauptpreis, den sie gewinnen konnten.
Oh, okay. So they had on a special occasion, they had a
Verlosung.
Not competition, where you can win something. You know, one prize, first prize or so was the Bible.
Das war der
So,
Hauptpreis.
and they were really happy to get it. The girls, they like it. Okay, that might be a bit some. They might think the pictures are, depends, some cultures find it a bit too. But this is a women's Bible, and there's also written about the woman who is there in that picture, and it's very interesting. We have it in different languages: English, German, Spanish, Portuguese, French. I know. And it's very helpful if you have a girl, maybe for her baptism, to present it, give it to her as a present. That's also something. I don't know, I don't think it's in Hungarian, no.
No?
No.
Noch nicht.
Yeah. That's the main thing about material, and then just try to connect with others. But I think, what is your take-home message now, when we conclude now? What is it, when you go out now, what will you think? I learned something, or I did not, or nothing new, or please be honest.
I have to laugh because I have to do an official practical time for my study, and in this practical time I need a own project. So I think about this topic a lot of time, and so I want to offer my boss to make something like this to my own project.
Yes.
But we have to see, because we have I don't know the English word, Delegatenkonferenz.
Yeah, the
new
constituency meeting or something.
Yeah, so I don't know who is my boss in March. So March. We have so.
But can we talk later on again? Because maybe we can. Because I'm interested in, especially if you have that into studies, I think this is something really worthwhile if we do that.
Okay.
Yeah. But for you, it's more like you said, I would really like to do something like this.
I would really like to do something because my teenagers are girls, and we talk about to do something to bring her friends with, because they say we don't bring our friends to the
Church. To the
church.
church.
Yeah. But they say we don't bring our friends to the youth lesson too. It's not good because that's our church friends, I think.
Okay.
And we don't feel well to bring our school friends with. So
Yeah.
we talk about creating something to bring her school friends.
Yeah. So like you said, what you did now with the outside the church in a different setting, and so there come the others too. Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much for your participation, and I would really like to hear from you when you have time, and if you need something, just feel free to contact me or contact or talk with Olga and Raisa. You can do it in German. So I'm happy that you were here, and I think it's good that we thought about it, and I might pray to ask God for guidance for your plans. Dear Father in heaven, we want to thank you that you have given us this opportunity to talk about you, presenting you to the teenagers in our churches. You know, they are sometimes in a hard time, they have difficult times when they grow up, and it's so much needed that they experience a loving environment. And sometimes in the churches we are not so loving, but we want to ask you to help us to keep up this loving attitude towards your youth. And we want to ask you that you bless us all, and that some here might start with a change in their churches, that they start something with the young girls and the young boys, so that they can be brought to you. And this is also a project what we can have to win people's souls for you. I ask all for your help, and I thank you for this. In Jesus' name, Amen. Okay, thank you very much, and I wish you all the best. And you can take these cards and the Toblerone and post it with you. And if you need more, come and see us at the booth.